All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another martial arts talk. I got some various topics I want to discuss. Um, so, my guest, without further ado, um, I'm just gonna get this started. So, how are you? First of all, how have you been so far?
I'm doing good. How about you, brother?
I'm pretty good myself. Just been staying busy during this lockdown recently. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's been affecting so much, so I can only stay home
Yeah.
today. So.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, so in this talk, I wanted to discuss various topics like fake Bruce Lee fans, um, various martial arts um, that I found to be effective, um, practical, um, rape culture, like how people's perceptions about rape and stuff like that, and some other topics. You had anything that you wanted to discuss?
Um, no, I think those topics would be good enough.
Okay. All right. So, which one do you want to discuss first?
We can just go down the list as how you brought up. So, think first is fake Bruce Lee fans.
Yeah, that's the one I wanted to talk about first. Okay. So,
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of fake Bruce Lee fans. That's the thing I've noticed. And as a side note, I'm not talking about the movie fans. Like movie fans. I think there's a lot of real movie fans, like people who are they're into the entertainment aspect of it, but the fans that I'm talking about are
Mm-hmm.
the martial artists, the ones the ones who claim to be a follower of Bruce Lee, like they claim to follow his teachings and stuff like that. They claim to practice his form of martial arts and stuff like that, and like those are the people that I'm talking about in uh in this discussion. Like I feel like because I've been noticing there's just a lot of people who they read his quotes, they read his books, maybe like once or twice, and um, and they like it's like they idolize him. But when you look at when you look at what they're doing, it's like what they're doing is just far from. It's really just far from what Bruce Lee taught. It's far. It's actually way um, like basically what they do is just it just doesn't line up with what he was teaching. Like he was there's like those. It's like I've seen some people they would a lot of people they take the phrase absorb what is useless. Absorb what is useful, reject what is useless, add specifically with your own, and they take that and they twist it and to a point where it doesn't like it's just completely um it's I think that's the most misunderstood um Bruce Lee quote because like when Bruce Lee said that um you got to look at each you got to analyze each style and you got to go into each style and figure out the strengths and weaknesses of each style and actually like do your research and figure out um, which techniques work and which techniques don't work. And what a lot of people are doing, is like they're not actually doing that. Like they're just jumping from style to style and practicing it, but there's really no thought behind it. Like there's just it's just like they interpret it to mean, oh, just just pick whatever you like and try to oversimplify it and then try to like justify whatever they're doing. And it's like, no, like you know, that's not really what he meant by that. So and so um and they stick to like, and it seems like they're just so dogmatic about it. Like I mean, they're just clinging to styles, to their traditional styles, and they don't even realize that Bruce Lee was actually against it. Like he was actually criticizing it and stuff like that. And but I'm pretty sure they don't. Everyone, I think almost everyone in the martial arts community, like uh, pretty much chooses to ignore that and stuff like that. So what do you think?
Um, all your points you said, they're true, like how some fans, they just go what they see, like wherever Bruce Lee's done, even like biopics, biographies of Bruce Lee movies, like, since a lot of people haven't grown up with Bruce Lee or known Bruce Lee, it's, something that really like pissed off like people who do know what Bruce Lee is and people who do understand what he's been through. It's they just talk about like when they see a biopic of Bruce Lee and it's like a misinterpreted way of Bruce Lee, then it's like, oh, people don't know that that's a misinterpretation. Most people will be like, oh, that's how Bruce Lee was. Like Birth of yeah, like Birth of the Dragon. Like a lot of Asians were mad because Bruce Lee was such a one-dimensional character. Like he was cocky, he was very arrogant, and
Yeah,
he was that one person. Yeah, he was that one person that pointed out saying, "Oh, I can kick everyone's butt," because my martial arts is really good. No, Bruce Lee wasn't that kind of a person. And if and real people who know, who understand, Bruce Lee learned philosophy at a college age. His he has a lot of philosophies. Like be like water, be flow like water. Everybody has two hands and 2 feet. That's why when Bruce Lee went against the traditionalists, those who created kung fu and Chinese martial art, Bruce is like, you know what? Styles are not, they're a crystallization because styles became law. You know, they became rules. So that's why Bruce Lee was against, not all Chinese martial arts, but just the general style of just really having this kind of style, like, oh, you should do this. This is only a pinpoint. This is how martial arts. No, you need to find effective moves to use because Bruce was born in the streets. He fought in the streets. So a lot of people need to understand that what Bruce was saying was true because all these Chinese martial arts, all these, I'm not saying anything bad, all of them are unique because they're a part of martial arts till this day. But what Bruce Lee was trying to simplify is that just try to use effective moves because this is not like movies. This is not like in the movies where your moves are gonna work 100% like the hero is. No, your moves are gonna determine if you're gonna live or die. That's the only thing that's gonna truly matter, you know. And
Right.
I feel like, yeah, I feel like martial artists, like the reason why they like belittle Bruce is because you know they're just saying that, oh, why would Bruce do something like this, you know, right? All you like all they're saying to Bruce is, oh, you know what you're saying is wrong, because why would you take something so pure and so elegant and say that it's, you know, say that's useless, you know? But if you look at Bruce's standpoint, Bruce did say that, you know, like what I said, like all the styles you talk about is a crystallization. It's already, you know, it's already a solid, you know. Bruce, that's why Bruce's philosophy of be like water is to flow like water. You need to really balance out a lot of things and to, you know, and to really express yourself, you know, because even though martial arts are expressing themselves through kicks, elbows, hands, you know, headbutts and all that stuff, it wasn't enough for Bruce to really say that they were expressing themselves, because those martial arts are, you know, some of them may not use effective moves, and Bruce may see that, oh, you may use that move may look strong, but at the same time, it may not work as the same way as in the movies. You know, the movies, it may look perfect, it may look elegant, nice, but in real life, is it going to be the same thing though? Are you going to throw it? Are you gonna throw a punch that's accurate to the movie, where it hits the opponent like super fast, but it's powerful as well? And like Bruce Lee fans, those who think of Bruce Lee through movies, they need to really go with a lot of research, and watch documentaries and watch and like even listen to what Bruce Lee has to say, because those who think Bruce Lee is, you know, this cocky guy is who goes around saying he can kick everyone's butt. No, like, yeah, I'm pretty sure like he was confident in himself, you know, because who else wouldn't be confident in thinking that, you know, they can, you know, who think that they can take down anyone. He took down Chuck Norris with no, with like I think the round, like he took out Chuck Norris. He took a, you know, like he brought Jackie Chan, you know, on and other like martial artists. He brought them to fame, you know, like Jackie Chan, like was an extra in Bruce Lee movies, and look where he's at. You know, after Bruce Lee's passing, Jackie Chan went to do his own movies, and other martial artists that were inspired by him. You know, like Donnie Yen, like what we talked about in our last two podcasts. Donnie Yen is, I feel like Donnie Yen's a big Bruce Lee fan. You know, he admires Bruce Lee. He puts Jeet Kune Do into his mixed martial arts because, you know, he knows that Bruce Lee's martial art is, you know, is very quick on his feet. It's very, you know, it's very fast. It's very agile, and in most of Donnie's movies, you can see that he uses Bruce Lee stance. His stance is basically a Bruce Lee stance, you know. And whatever Donnie Yen uses, even if Donnie Yen is not using Bruce Lee's signature moves and all that stuff, at least his stance are like Bruce Lee's like stance. You know, his stance is really far out and really out there. So I feel like those who don't understand Bruce will not, you know, they do not understand what, um, you know, what's going on. So
Yeah, you're totally right. And as far as him being in this arrogant kind of fighter, like I agree with you. Like I don't think he was arrogant, like, you know, trying to in the sense of like he was trying to challenge everybody uh, for the sake of challenging them to boost his ego. Like it was more as a way to to basically challenge himself and make himself basically improve his skills and figure out what he's good at, what he's not good at. Because even
Mm-hmm.
he said he talked about how he was constantly questioning himself and constantly trying to improve his martial arts. So that's why he did it. And if you look at all of his if you look at all of his fights, it's like each one of them was this like it brought like some kind of like revelation, you know, it like it was just really like it just really shows you how far ahead Bruce was ahead of it, like was ahead of
Mm-hmm.
time. Like it just showed like wow, like just like like I think I told you about the when he fought um he sparred against all these karate guys in the school um and then he went up against it was Muhammad Ali's bodyguard and he beat him like he uh he beat him real quick like the moment that the instructor, the karate instructor, like he got in his stance, he already high kicked him in the head, and the guy was knocked
Mm-hmm.
over. And then Bruce told him like he said I can hit you four times before you can hit me once, and I was
Dang.
yeah yeah and it really shows you like if you really study Bruce Lee's art form you'll see why. Like Bruce, he could he would start like sometimes he would just start from uh from a completely neutral position, like and then he would and then all of a sudden like he would throw a jab or a straight punch from that position and already get into his fighting stance. Like, cause that's how quick he
Mm-hmm.
was. Like, that's how like if you've seen it in the movie in the scene of the fight Fist of Fury, the last part like of the part when he's about to fight the karate guy, the master. I mean the judo master. I think that's I can't remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember
Yep.
that. Yeah, he was about. But notice how Bruce was like he was crossing his arms and stuff and not really taking it seriously. He was in a completely neutral stance until
Mm-hmm.
the guy throws the kick or something, and that's how and then you see how fast Bruce Lee got in his fighting stance. Like
Yep.
that's how he's even Bruce like if you read his books, like he criticized um karate because a lot of these styles he criticized a lot of these styles because they just they wasted too much time, you know, like doing all these rituals and bowing and all this fancy stuff like preparation, you know, mental
Mm-hmm.
like it's like they practice meditation before they spar and they meditate or something like that and he's like all that stuff like you're just wasting time because how
Yep.
is that effective in fighting? Like how is that making you a faster fighter or a better fighter? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's really not. Like he said like Bruce said pretty much his point was like if you want to just punch, if you really want to punch, you should just do it. Like just don't hesitate. Don't pretend that you don't want to do it. You know, don't do it just because you want to avoid getting hit. Like actually punch. You
Yeah.
know, act
Yeah.
just get straight to the point. Like you know, and that's why that karate instructor that's why he lost because he wasn't really getting to the point. You know, he was basically practicing the traditional karate um, karate methods of sparring. And by the time,
Hmm.
by the time he did all that, it was too late. He already lost.
Yep.
And like Bruce, even Bruce said he thought shaking hands and bowing was useless uh because it wastes time. And I think in his fight with Wong Jackman, according to Wong Jackman, he shook he was gonna shake Bruce Lee's hand, and Bruce Lee he was like, all right, and he pretended to shake his hand, but just when they were gonna shake hands, Bruce threw a finger jab to his eyes, or tried to.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so but people don't see that, and they don't want to see that because um it really doesn't fit in their narrative of how Bruce actually was.
Hmm.
And and Bruce, like, he I think he was very honest and open about what he did and what he believed in. And
Yep.
and so yeah, and you got anything else you wanted to add?
And then, and yeah, like another thing, like, Bruce, like, I agree with what you said, like, and yeah, in his interview with Pierce Burton, he said it too, like the part where he said, if I'm gonna punch, and I'm gonna do it, man, and it's not just because of me avoiding to get hit, but it's me expressing the human body, and a lot of people do, they do see that, like if Bruce is gonna hit, he's gonna do it. He's not joking. He's gonna if he tells you he's gonna throw a punch, he's gonna do it, and you won't be able to see it. And that's what I see in Bruce. Like Bruce is up to it. If he says something, he means it. Like if he wants to kick your butt, he will do it if he has to because he's not putting up with a lot of BS right now. And if he has to put up with a lot of BS, then it's gonna be a bad day for it's gonna be a bad day for that person who's getting beat up because Bruce having it. And sure, Bruce does joke around, because he's a human being like we are, but at the same time, he does feel anger. So if people keep joking around and all that stuff, and they think that Bruce's methods aren't good, Bruce will show them. He will put them in his place, like no joke. Like he'll put them in this place, and he'll tell them, don't in a real sense, don't mess with me, because I am not here to play games. I am not here to listen to your bullcrap. I am here to say that all this stuff is not right, and you can say whatever you want, but just don't do it in a sense where I'm gonna get mad at you and I have to really come up to you and tell you straight up in person. And I feel like those who see like Bruce's techniques are lacking. I'm like, no, you haven't seen it from the master himself. If you because I've seen YouTube videos where they say, "Oh, Bruce Lee's methods are not effective." I'm like, not effective.
That's
Bruce,
crazy.
Bruce's yeah, Bruce's methods are effective. Don't you see a lot of people? Don't you see a lot of people using Jeet Kune Do? Come on, man. There's like thousands of people all over the world who learn Jeet Kune Do. And who's this UFC fighter? His name is it Anderson Silva?
Yeah, Anderson Silva.
Yes, he uses Wing Chun and Jeet Kune Do methods to fight in MMA.
Right.
Yeah,
And
and when I found that out, I was like, "Oh, that's cool! Like, that's amazing. Someone's using Bruce Lee's methods in a sense, Bruce Lee is known as the father of mixed martial arts." You know, he's the he's the reason why mixed martial arts is so popular is because Bruce made it. He already knew it. Like in the past, like when he was still living, he already knew that MMA was gonna be a thing, you know. And when he talked about expressing the human body, like you can tell you can tell that like when Piers Burton told him, hey, what's the difference between our boxing to Chinese boxing? Bruce is like, well, first we use the feet, then we use the elbow, and Piers Burton, he's like the Jimmy Fallon, he's like the James Corden back then, and he's like, yeah, and you use the thumb too. You name it, man, we use it. I mean, you have to because that is expressing the human body. We're using all of this, not just the hands. You're using your whole body to attack you, to like simply attack your opponent. And there's no such thing as those wavy motion. But you gotta be flow like water. You gotta flow like water. You need to soften up and really go with the flow. Basically, what he's saying. And um, and I like it how when people don't get to the point, there's a part where he says, when you do a punch, now I'm trying to put my hip into it, not to hurt any camera angle. You gotta put your hip into it and snap it and put all that energy into that attack. And that's why I like about his style is because, you know, when you watch his movies, yes, there, it is exaggerating because he does play the hero and he does win all the time. But you have to understand that his wife even said that his passion it wasn't in movies. His passion was his martial arts. He didn't want it. Even if he didn't start with movies and all that stuff, and even though if he wasn't like a movie star, he still his martial art will still live on till this day. But it's because of cinema. Bruce has been famous through movies and martial arts. And you know, as a I won't say that I won't call people fake Bruce Lee fans. I'm just gonna say that they're just people who know little of Bruce Lee. Someone who don't really have an understanding of what Bruce has done. And really don't hear it from people who have trained with Bruce, who's been with him. Even his wife. His wife knew what he's been doing, and I feel that those who think Bruce's methods are wrong or all this stuff is going on, it's like no, you're wrong because what you're saying is inaccurate and it's not you know is not what you think it is because I feel like if Bruce was still alive, even at the age of 80 or his mid 80s, he would just still freaked out, be like, "What do you?" He'll go up and say, "Hey, don't judge my style because of this." And he would have been still speaking out of his martial arts if he was still alive to this day. He would have been like, talk about this, you talk about that, and all this, all that. But then, can you prove it to me? And I'm pretty sure at an old age, Bruce still has the speed that he has. It might not be as fast as when he was young, but even at the age of 80, I don't know. Maybe Bruce still has skills, man. Bruce is fast with a camera. He can be fast even when he's old. So
Right. And about the Bruce Lee critics, I think most of the critics are just people who don't like it. Something he said. It's usually because they're criticizing him because something he said or did triggered them, and they don't like that, so
mhm.
they that's why they bash him and stuff like that, or maybe it's because of his race or something like that, or I don't know, but like it depends. But
Yep.
like I think they are fake fans though because at least a good number of them like because they don't actually immerse themselves in his philosophy. Like they don't actually like I you could tell that if Bruce said or did something that they didn't like, they would immediately like bash him and turn against him. Like I've talked to one guy
Hmm.
who said who uh who said that he was a Bruce Lee fan and stuff. I mean, I've talked to a bunch of people who said they were Bruce Lee fans, and they and the moment that I shared facts with them about Bruce Lee, like Bruce Lee thought this about your style of Bruce Lee, you know, this is what he said about it. They said they got really mad. They said Bruce Lee is just an actor. Like
Whoa, whoa, really?
yeah,
You call yourself a Bruce? You call yourself a Bruce Lee fan, and yet you say he's just an actor?
they said it just like
Please.
that. They loudly boasted about that. They said Bruce Lee was just an actor. Like and then they said
Are they ser? Are they serious?
yeah, they were
Oh my
serious.
gosh!
They said
Oh my gosh!
it's
Imagine, like what I said. Imagine if Bruce Lee was still alive till this day. If you say that in front of his face, he would have.
knocked you
Oh
out.
my gosh! Heck yeah! Even at the age of 80, he would have take you on the street, whoop you, teach you a lesson, and be like, you know what? I'm more than just an actor. I'm a martial artist. I fought in the streets, so you better be
Yeah.
careful what you say.
Yeah, and
Dang.
they said they said he has never been in a real fight. Like
Huh?
that's
Oh
what they
my
said.
gosh.
And then they said they talked junk about him that they said he had talked about how he had delusions of grandeur and stuff like that.
Huh?
Yeah, that's what they said.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they said they said Bruce didn't know then this one guy said Bruce didn't know much about karate to talk about it. He I take what he says about karate the size of a softball. Like
Wow. Dang. You gonna diss Bruce like that? Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
yeah, yeah. These guys they just like that. And then there's one guy who said then there's one guy who he was a real like he was a real bully. Like he was arrogant and stuff. Like he was just a straight up douchebag. And then I think he when he posted like I think he posted on his cover his basically he went around saying um quoting one of Bruce's quotes which said I'm not in your world. I'm not in this world to live up to your expectations, and you're not in this world to live up to mine. And I was like, I was like,
What?
yeah, yeah. I cringed really hard because this bully was basically using that quote to justify him being a douchebag, and which was really just a straight up misinterpretation and distortion of Bruce's original message. Like,
Hmm.
oh my goodness, I don't even know where to begin. Like he was basically like using that quote to say that basically say that um I don't have to submit to your I don't have to be a nice guy to you and and you don't have to accept me stuff like that. Like and I was like, no, that's really not what Bruce meant by that. Like he basically meant, like he said it in a really humble kind of way. Like he meant that that basically what that means is you're basically not like people's expectations of you can be unrealistic. So
Hmm.
you shouldn't try to to live up to them. Like if they're unrealistic.
Yep.
Like just be yourself. Do what you can do.
Mhm.
You know, and because people they're always gonna talk junk about you. Like they're always gonna um talk junk about what you can or can't do.
Yep.
Like let's say somebody who's and this is why individuality um in martial arts like is is uh is really important because you can't have everybody doing the same thing. Like you can't have not everyone is going to be good at striking, not everyone is going to be good at kicking, not everyone's going to be good at weapons. Everybody's
Yep.
going to be everybody's has his or own her own specialization. So like I've met guys who like I had a friend who was really good at grappling, and he was good at basically doing body slams and stuff like that. He could lift people up and body slam them and do all sorts of stuff. Um, but I'm pretty sure he wasn't a good probably wasn't a good striker or a good kicker because that's just not what he was good at. And uh, that's really what Bruce was talking about. Like he was saying you should just do what you're great at and forget about trying to suck up to someone else's standards of how you should be. Like if you're a grappler, grapple. Like don't try to like don't try to don't feel bad about yourself if somebody else says, oh well, you're not a good martial artist because you can't strike or you can't kick, like stuff like that. Like that's what he was, that's what he was talking about. And this bully was
Mhm.
basically like twisting his words and stuff, and like no, and it's just like it's basically like Bruce's values and their values don't line up, so that's how you could pretty much tell they're not actually real fans because you know, Bruce
Mhm.
valued honesty, um, you know, open-mindedness, um, empathy, a whole bunch of stuff like seeking the truth and stuff like that, humility, like all those good traits, and they don't
Yep.
like they're
Mm-mm.
just arrogant, hypocritical, you know, disrespectful or closed-minded and stuff like that. So I mean, of course there are fans who are actually Bruce Lee fans, but they're just misguided. Like they don't know,
Yep.
they don't know, they haven't done the research and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
yeah, so they don't know what Bruce actually taught, but they're still fans.
Mhm.
So but yeah, like I've seen a lot of misinformation out there. So and every time I see it, it's like oh my gosh, like I just have to debunk it and stuff like that. So
Mhm. Yeah,
because
and it just sucks. It just sucks to see people like that. At the same time, saying he's not a fighter. You don't consider yourself a Bruce Lee fan. Like even MMA fighters and martial artists who know Bruce Lee knew that he could wreck us if he wanted to. He's not scared to go out there and really you know like show himself because yeah, like Bruce Lee, he's a fighter and all that, and I have to give it to him. He's one of the best fighters out there, and no one like no one has the balls like Bruce Lee had to go up against, a lot of martial artists and tell them, hey, you're wrong, and most of the stuff that you're doing is like it's not what I think it is, and that's what I like about Bruce is because Bruce is able to show that side of himself to people and say, hey, what you're doing is wrong, and I wish that, there should be a change. Because I feel like, even with all the stuff that he's been saying, I feel like a lot of people are just like, they don't want to listen because they think that they're right and they think that he's wrong. So, for a lot of people who think that he's wrong, I feel bad for them because not only are they saying that he's wrong, just they're trying to make themselves look better, So,
Right, and there's people who say that that the MMA fighters of today could beat Bruce Lee up in a fight, and they don't
oh
re
my gosh.
yeah, they don't realize that back in Bruce's day, like they used to street fight, like they would
Hmm.
Bruce would he would street fight, and they would actually test out uh each martial art, like they wouldn't just accept it as, oh, this is a good style for fighting or for combat. Like you actually had to prove it, like in um, an actual fight, and that's what Bruce was like. That's what Bruce did. Like he would fight other martial artists in street fights, and he basically didn't respect any martial artist, who did not um who basically did not showcase their style in actual combat situation, like, you know, because he said he
Hmm.
said if you're gonna he thought if you're gonna claim that your style works for self defense or whatever, combat, then you actually needed to demonstrate it. Like
Yep.
you just can't expect people to just believe it because you're the master or because you hold a belt or in such style or whatever. Like, no, you have to actually uh showcase your style, and which is what a lot of people in martial arts are not doing. They're just it seems like, at least in the traditional martial arts community, like everybody's closed off, you know, everybody like everybody just wants to live in his or her own world and not think about
Hmm.
complicated scenarios. Um, you know, and as far as like Bruce Lee being as far as the MMA fighters of today being Bruce Lee, like I think they would lose to Bruce Lee because if you look at Bruce, like a lot of the critics, they talk nonsense. They think that Bruce's methods of training are outdated, and and it's like, no, they're not. Like if you look at Bruce's training, like you'll see that he was actually doing boxing pad work. He was hitting the boxing heavy bags. He was kicking shields. He was basically training like a modern MMA fighter would. Like he was using boxing gloves. He was training on the Wing Chun dummy,
Yup.
doing physical conditioning, whole bunch of workouts, sparring, all sorts of stuff. Like, it was pretty much um everything that you saw him doing, like pretty much doing everything that today's MMA fighters do,
Yep.
and probably even better. Like because at least Bruce had strategy, and a lot of these guys they don't. Like
Yep.
they just throw like I said, they throw these wild punches and stuff, but they don't have there's really nothing behind it. Like there's no purpose behind it, you know.
Mhm.
And Bruce, he had like if you read his books, like you would see how how strategic he was, like with his art. He would like for example he would duck punch and then he would sidestep to the side, and then he would land I think a cross punch to the guy's midsection, all at the same time, and uh, and that would pretty much lay the guy out, I think. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much all I had to say about that topic. Like, I think
Yeah.
I think I was gonna say something else, but I completely forgot. Like, you want to add anything else to it?
Basically, I'm just, for those who, think that they understand Bruce Lee for like fully, I feel like what I said, a lot of people are opinionated and they have different opinions of Bruce Lee, so we can't really judge, why they say that, but it, like even though it's their opinion. If they say that Bruce is this and all that stuff, fine. I'm not gonna, like hold a grudge, but I'm just gonna be like, what you're saying is really wrong. But if you say that, I'm fine with it because I know that you just it just shows that you just need to know more about Bruce to really understand what he's been going through as an actor and as a martial artist because he has suffered through a lot of what's been going on, during his time, it, you know, and how he like grew up and all that. And so yeah, that's what I have to say, because I feel like a lot of people they just need to really understand what he's been through with all his life because you know he didn't ask to be a movie star. He basically his passion was just his martial arts, and that's what he really wanted to do. So I can't blame him for joining the movie industry because if it was his passion to become a movie star instead of a martial artist, then I understand that. But you know, his wife even said it straight and clear that his passion wasn't movie. His passion was his martial arts, and that's what Bruce wanted to do. So you can't blame the guy for doing movies. Yeah, he's the reason why the 70s. He's the reason why kung fu existed in the 70s because of Bruce. Like he brought Chinese kung fu into what is now the US of A. So yeah,
Right. There's always going to be Bruce Lee haters, but there's really nothing you can do about it. I
yeah, you can't tell them, hey, don't hate because if you say that, there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna be like, oh yeah, we hate him because of this reason. But it's like, are you sure about that?
it's really it's I think a bunch of them hate him because he's Asian and not white. That's really why they hate him.
Hey, I mean, he's not fully Chinese, so you can't say anything about that.
Exactly. Like,
So
but
yeah, yeah, because he's like 1/4 like Caucasian, like 1/4 German.
yeah, but they don't say anything about what's his name? They don't say anything about Joe Lewis, who was his student, or or his. They don't say anything about his white students. Notice how they're awfully silent about them
Yeah,
because
yep.
they're white. That's why. Like they don't say anything about them because they're white. That's really what you know.
Hmm.
Um, but that's all I had to say about Bruce Lee. So, um, oh, another thing though, like I've met some people who there's those people who there's some Choi Lee Foot guys who who they bring up a quote like that Bruce made like Bruce said back in the day. He said Choi Lee Foot is the best style to deal with multiple attackers or something like that. And it's like, but you got to think about the time period of which he said that though. Like when he said
Hmm.
when he said that, he was still a traditional martial artist. Like that
Yep.
this was way before he developed Jeet Kune Do. His like they forget that Bruce Lee's views changed over time. Like they weren't the same all throughout his life. He went through a process of growth, and
Hmm.
like he evolved, and yeah, he thought at the time of course he thought Charlie Foot was he probably thought that it was the best style because he was a Charlie Foot practitioner, but that's but he didn't hold that view like later on in his life, like
Hmm.
before he died. Like he actually changed his views, and what they're doing, what these guys are doing is they're trying to spread misinformation and try to make it seem like like Bruce Lee totally supported Charlie, but when
No.
they don't know the whole story behind it, and that's why and what they're doing is they're basically trying to promote their system, try to sell um their course and stuff like that, and basically they're basically just using his name for profits. And
Yep.
even if they're distorting the truth, like they don't care. They're just they just want to make money. That's really what it is, and
Hmm.
you know, and it's sad
Yep.
how it's sad how a lot of people are like that. They just um, use him to make money and without even caring about what he actually thought and what he actually believed in and stuff like that.
I mean, people should understand. They should start caring because what he, yeah, like Bruce Lee has tried different martial arts, and after, like, from what I heard from after he fought with Wang Jack Man, his style of Wing when he was still training in Wing Chun, they said that like they said that, like, after that fight, it was what he, like, remembered, like, that the classical arts was not working for him. So that's why he created Jeet Kune Do, because he wanted to mix all these different martial arts up to see, what's effective and all that stuff. And that's how Jeet Kune Do was born, through through his thinking, through his process of understanding um what Jeet Kune Do really needs, and for what martial arts should mean, because uh a lot of his thinking was just like, is it gonna work, is it not, because he knew Wing Chun, after fighting Wang Jackman, he knew Wing Chun wasn't gonna work the same as um before he fought Wang Jackman. And that's when he got really into, like, okay, now I need to really find something that's more, um, that's more effective, and that's more, something like my style, because like I understand that for him it was really hard on him, and just really hearing about how like he was like kind of in shock. Like I really felt how he felt, and that's just a shocking to understand like what he been through, and just seeing like just feeling what all the stuff he had to go through. Like, oh, like Wing Chun's not gonna work, then I'm just gonna find another solution and maybe combine my own martial art. And that's why Jeet Kune Do came to be, was to really separate himself through, that fluidity of, I shouldn't focus on one thing. I should focus on multiple things and not really, you know, like do this because it's effective, or do that, but really search search for effective methods to use in the streets, and that's what I get. So yeah.
Yeah, which brings me to my next point about different martial arts styles. Like I wanted to talk about uh different martial arts that I think are effective and stuff like that. Um,
Hmm.
and the one that I wanted to talk about was boxing, like pro boxing. Like
Yes.
I think that I think boxing is a really good style for uh for combat because for many reasons. Like it has straight punches, crosses, hook punches, all these punches and stuff like that, and and you would think that they're not that good, but
Hmm.
when you actually study them, like you realize how um just how just how effective they were. Like they could penetrate your defenses. Like you could have your guard up, and they could just like based on the angle of the punch, like
Hmm.
it would just completely go past your guard and hit you. Like
Yep.
when I was a Wing Chun guy, like I used to think, oh yeah, my style's the best. I thought that I actually looked down on boxing. Like I thought, oh, that's the white man's sport, or that's I thought boxers they were um I had the same ideas about boxers uh because of the traditional martial arts community. Like they thought that boxers were basically not real not real martial artists. They thought their boxers were arrogant
Hmm.
and they were they were not good because they could only punch, but they couldn't kick or anything like that. And I mean, some points were valid, but the moment that I sparred, like I told you before, the moment that I sparred boxers, like that was when my whole view changed, like because they were like I mean, I got demolished. Like
Yeah.
they would they straight up like demolish you. Like their punches are too fast to block or do anything, and like they would throw all these different combinations like jabs and straight punches and uppercuts and all this stuff like hooks, crosses, and because of the angles of attack, like like it was very hard to predict where they were gonna hit from, you know, and
Yep.
and so I just couldn't accept that I got beat up by a boxer, so
Hmm.
so so I got upset, and then I did my research, you know, and found out that like I basically try to resolve things from a Wing Chun point of view. You know, I try to find solutions, and 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 when I went to the Wing Chun guys, like they didn't really know how to deal with boxers. Like they said they would they would just give this poor explanation of how to deal with boxers. Like they would tell you, oh well, you know, just you know, just um, make your guard wider or something like that. Like you know,
Hmm.
stretch your hands out more and or something like that, like to sort of keep the boxer at a distance.
Yep.
And it's like that's not gonna work because the boxer is gonna move around. He's gonna find other ways of punching you, like different angles of punching you, or
Yeah.
either that or he's gonna try to clinch you. You know, so
Hmm.
doing that stuff is definitely not gonna work. So,
Yep.
but it seems like,
Yeah.
oh, go ahead.
Yeah, and I agree with that too. Like, um, you know, sparring with, when I spar with my brother, he has boxing hands. So I like it how he has his boxing hands. So, and the thing is, like, you know how when we talked about, like, you keep your hands down, you be more, or no, I don't think we talked about that, but I don't know if he did, I, but at the same time, I watched this video and this guy was like, I have my hands down, and it's, it'll be unpredictable because when my brother does that, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to do my Wing Chun attack, and then I do it, and his hand is so quick, like right when I blocked it, his hand already curved towards my block, and his hand's already to my cheek. And he's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, really? Are you? Yeah, he's like,
Wow.
really? Are you? Yeah, he's like, what do you need me to do? It's like, okay, I need to try something. He gets up, his hands aren't even guarding him, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I try hitting him, boom, he already whacked me already. I'm like, oh crap, it's not working. What's wrong with me today? Like, cause I do see that Wing Chun is fast and Wing Chun is about speed, but my brother he has boxing hands, and his boxing hands are really fast. Like if he's gonna throw a jab, he's gonna throw it quickly. Like like I remember me and my brother, we were in this fight, and then I tried hitting him, and I actually hit him, but I remember he hit me so hard. I remember the last hit, I got up, and I'm so tired. I can't hit him anymore. He straight up gets up, and he's not even bleeding. Like he's not even bruised up. Like I hit him, but he's not even bruised. He comes up, boom, kicks a strong jab in my face, and not even a second later, my mouth was like my like lip was busted.
Oh crap.
Yeah, like he straight up boom, Bruce Lee. Like I think Bruce Lee jabbed me in the face, and my like those boxers when they get jabbed, their head bounced back.
Yeah.
That's how I felt when he hit me so hard. My head bounced back, and then like I basically got knocked out. Like I basically fell to the ground crying, and all I remember was I felt my lip because my lip was swollen. I felt it and it was bleeding. I was like, dang, his attack is strong. He means it too. And just seeing how my brother has those boxing hands and just me try to use Wing Chun moves is not effective because even if I try to kick him, he will land a punch to my foot. if he has a chance, like he knew what I'm doing. So even if I trick him and attack him, if I attack it and it lands, he's gonna be like, "Oh, you attacked me. I'm gonna try to hurt you twice as hard now." And if I keep attacking him, his the ways of how he's gonna, like beat me up multiplies by two. So each time if I hit him super hard, it's like, oh, now times two to your pain that I'm gonna bring you, and it grows. Even if he's in a state of like bruised up and he's all bloodied, which I have got to that point, and I don't want to. But if he gets to that point, he's like, you know what? I'm gonna take you out. Like, no matter how hard you are, I'm gonna take you out, and I'm gonna make you look just like me. It's like, dang, that's scary, because his boxing hands are strong and they're quick, so he's able to maneuver himself, just like a boxer. When you watch those Ip Man movies, you see how Ip Man has a hard time fighting not just Twister, but he fought Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson's boxing hands are way stronger, and yet Mike Tyson was able to get a couple punches into Donnie Yen, and that's a way of how Wing Chun kind of doesn't go well with boxing. When they go against each other, it's not a good thing, because boxing is more it's a physical sport. Wing Chun, yeah, like I understand Wing Chun is like, it's very physical as well. It's very, you know, and all that, but at the same time, people have to understand that, has it ever, crossed their mind that sometimes some martial arts don't work the same way as in the movies. So that's why it's kind of, you know, outrageous to kind of see that people are testing out their moves. And I understand it's good to spar and all that stuff. I'm not, I'm not, I'm not going against it. It's good to spar, but sometimes when I spar, I say, oh, don't hurt me too much, because it's gonna, I don't want to go to work looking bruised up and beat up at some point. So yeah,
Yeah,
and that's just how it is. And I feel like as of right now, like me and my brother, we get into less fights. But yeah, whenever I tried, trying to do all this, do all that, I'm like, okay, try to get me as close as possible. My brother would throw like a hook or something, and then he'd be like, okay, I'm gonna throw a hook and see how, things go. And right when he throws a hook, like my reflexes are kind of slow, so I had to train my reflexes in order to, sorry, uh, in order to get, the right timing of when my opponent's gonna attack. So yeah, it's the boxing hands and all that stuff. It's really hard, even though they don't use kicks, which is an advantage to someone who does use kicks. That doesn't give them the fact that what, they're much stronger, and they're really like they really know how to attack someone without them knowing, and uh that's something that I can look up to not just a martial artist, but someone who I can really uh, you know see as a martial artist, as it really helps, you know to kind of learn through other martial arts, and to kind of really see what's going on through those martial arts. So
yeah. With boxing, the reason why they're so fast is because of the techniques. Like if you saw my videos, like I talked about how they snap their arms forward, they snap um,
mm-hmm.
their punches, and with a lot of martial arts like Wing Chun, they don't snap it. They don't snap their limbs forward. They push their punches forward, and what happens is they end up losing all that power and all that speed. Um, and And another thing boxers do is they put their whole body weight into their punches, um,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what causes them to have a lot of knockout power. And
Yep.
uh, and and in Wing Chun, like they sacrificed power for speed. Like they said, oh well, you can't move your body into, you can't move your body into punches like boxers can because that's just not allowed in Wing Chun. Like that's not practical Wing Chun. That's not
Yeah.
you have to keep your balance and so you have to basically stand like a tree and and
Mm-hmm.
which is not really practical for combat because uh, somebody could go for a takedown, somebody could knock you off balance or something like that. Um, there's many things that
Mm-hmm.
could happen, and but I think the probably the biggest problem is you whether you like it or not, you need some form of knockout power.
Yep.
Otherwise, like if your punches, my thing is a good punch needs to have knockout power. Like, and there's just no question about it. And if you're
Mm-hmm.
because like I said in my other videos, like if you punch a boxer like a pro boxer, chances with a Wing Chun punch, like chances are it's not gonna do anything
Yep.
because boxers they know how to take punches. They know um they know how to, I mean if they can take uh a boxing punch that is almost like that almost packs 1,000 pounds of force in it and still not get knocked out. How is it that you're gonna knock out a boxer with a Wing Chun punch that packs way less than that? Like,
Exactly.
yeah, and that's what a lot of people don't get, and that's why I found like after doing my research, I found that boxing strikes, boxing punches are probably the best. They're the best for self defense because they have so much knockout power and so
Mm-hmm.
much you know so much how do I say it, versatility. Like you know they can uh they can pretty much bypass your guard. Um
Mm-hmm.
like I've demonstrated in my videos uh how boxers were able to hook punches and pretty much bypass the guard. Like by the time like I've learned that by the time a boxer throws a hook punch, um, and it lands on your temple, like or lands on your head or whatever, you're not going to be able to see it uh
Yeah.
because of the angle that it's coming from, and because and by the time you do see it, it's too late. Like you would have already gotten punched, and
Yep.
it basically comes around your guard, uh, and you know so
Mm-hmm.
like I've heard of cases of, like I said, boxers punching people they and in street altercations, and they knocked them out in like one blow to the head,
Yep.
one punch knocked them straight out. And there's one video of this boxer who uh, knocked out, like I showed him before, he knocked out like two guys with one punch for each guy, instant knockout. And after
Mm-hmm.
that, and at the moment that the other people saw that, they didn't want to do anything. They were like, okay, we give up. Uh, we don't want to mess.
Damn.
Yeah, we don't want to mess with you anymore. So that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I realized, like, okay, like these guys, they know what they're talking about. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not, like I said, I think boxing still has a bunch of weaknesses, but as far as striking goes, like it's really good. Like it's
Mhm.
and same with the head movement. Bruce talked about the head movement. He talked about how efficient it is for close quarters. Like
Yep.
you move if you with head movement, you can pretty much avoid getting hit and but also counterattack and or attack at the same time. You can do all that
Mhm.
and and without getting out of range. And your hands are free too, so you can set
Yep.
up you can set up a whole bunch of things. And uh and I used to like I didn't see the purpose of head movement until Bruce explained it. So uh
Mhm.
so I was like, wow, this stuff actually it's actually good stuff. And like
Mhm.
uh what's his name? Joe Frazier used it, a whole bunch of people used it, Mike Tyson used it. Um
Yep.
and you could see how effective it was because when they used head movement, um like they were just they were like the way they used it was just wild. Like they were using it like their opponent was wasting all that energy trying to punch them, and they were getting tired and stuff like that. Well, meanwhile, um, guys like Mike Tyson, like they were their heads, like Joe Frazier, like their heads were close to their opponent's chest. So
Mhm.
so they did that to like as a defensive maneuver. Um,
Yep.
so even if they try to like punch with the other hand or something, like it wouldn't actually do much damage. Um, um, and then they had like when I did my research on boxers, like they had these basically everything was practical, like it was down to earth, um, like the first time I heard about um, how they explained everything, like all the strategies, everything, like um, they explained how to fight and everything. Like I was surprised because you didn't get the stuff from uh from a lot of martial arts. Like a lot of martial arts are
Mhm.
just it's just traditional. Like there's really no strategy behind it. Um,
Mhm.
I mean, of course now it's changing because now more and more of them are adopting the combat sports mindset. But it wasn't like that before.
Yep.
And the other thing though is the sparring and stuff like that. That was actually um
Mhm.
really good stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
And yeah, like I agree. Like a lot of boxing movements is really up to the person because um, boxing. The good thing about boxing is the way they're able to move their bodies, the way they're able to you know um, like get in movement, and that's how Bruce was able to the reason why a lot of um, a lot of like the movements that you see with Bruce and uh, with all that stuff is because boxers they move efficiently. It's and the mix between their attacks is based on speed and strength. They're not just attacking you very quickly, but at the same time, they're doing it fast and efficient. They're trying to get you as much as possible. They're trying to knock you out without any hesitation. And That's what they're trying to do. So, for and martial arts, yeah, I understand martial arts they do the same but with kicks. But some martial arts like yeah, Wing Chun, they don't like have that like mentality to like, you know, to like move and to do all that. And it's just not a good thing because how are you able to, like how are you able to block someone if you can't even defend yourself, or how are you supposed to like invade someone's attack, because Wing Chun and other martial arts, they don't have that mentality. They don't do the same thing. They are there to like, they're there to just look cool and all that stuff. I'm not saying not to look cool, but I'm just saying that it's just something that, like to make it look to make it look, amazing. And yes, martial art is like that, but boxing is more efficient because you're able to not move just your body, but you move your head from getting attacked because your head is the most important part of the body. And you're gonna need that because a lot of boxers they have concussions because of that. And if a martial artist don't have that ability to move around, it's going to be hard on the martial artist himself, him or herself, to really protect themselves no matter what. And I feel like what you were saying all along, it's right, it's correct because all that martial arts that people learn, I want them to feel safe. Everyone wants martial arts to feel safe and all that stuff, and not feel threatened. And that's what martial arts should be. And if you listen to what Jaden Smith says in Karate Kid, um, like, have you seen the Jaden Smith Karate Kid, the one with Jackie Chan in it?
You talking about the the black kid who who played as the main character, right?
Yep,
Oh yeah, I think I saw that. Yeah, I saw it. I did not see though. I did not see
the
the
old
ending.
one. Really. But
Yeah.
but like what Jaden said, he said, he's like, I'm gonna learn about kung fu. Wait, you know how I'm worried about you fighting, and then he says to his mom, "Mom, it's not about fighting, Mom. It's about making peace with your enemy." It's like, hey, I mean, it's true though,
Yeah.
because martial art, kung fu is basically just, you know, it's not to make war, it's to create peace. And it's I don't know if that's true or not. I feel like it is because after the fight, it's like, oh, we either become friends or we're just enemies till this day. So we don't know. But yeah, like a lot of martial arts, when they go against boxing, boxing mostly wins because of its effectiveness and its accuracy and its like power that it generates through its punches. Really sends off that like that signal. Unlike martial arts, where you have all this, all that, but you have a lot of moves that you need to really, really utilize to kind of find a way. Boxing, all the moves, all the same move, the hook, the jab, the uppercut, the haymaker, all that stuff is already in their mind. Kung Fu, karate, judo, taekwondo, all these martial arts, yeah, they have the same mechanism, but they have a lot of moves. Unlike boxing, where boxing you have just basic moves that you can use with your hands, and you're just there to just punch, 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 and then dodge, punch again, dodge, punch, punch, and that's it. But with kung fu or martial arts, you got a kick, you got your jump kicks, your high punch, all that stuff, and sometimes that's just too much to take in. So yeah, like even when me fighting my brother's able to do something. He's able to like throw a hook with no hesitation. He's like, boom, throws a hook. And if he wants to throw uppercut, he could throw uppercut if he wanted to. If he wanted to throw a jab, he'll just go straight for it, you know. But for me, I have to think about, oh, I need to know how to block his move. You know, it's easy to it's easy said than done. You know, I can block his move, but in real life, his fist is already to my nose before I can able before I was able to touch his arm and move it. His knuckle was touching my nose already, and that shows that, oh, he's quick enough to break my nose if he wanted to, and I couldn't even defend myself. So yeah.
Right, and that's because a lot of martial artists like they have this information, what I call information overload, where they teach you
Hmm.
like thousands of techniques. Um, but the problem is you're not going to be able to memorize all of those, um, or let alone use all of those in an actual combat scenario.
Hmm.
The reason why boxers are so good at what they do is because they only take what they're going to use, which is like what, five, maybe six techniques or something, and hone those skills and get good at them, and that's how
Yep.
you know that's how they're so good at what they
Hmm.
do. Like the saying, "Less is more." So
Yep.
that's why they're so good at what they do because all they do is just practice the same techniques over and over again and perfect them. So so it's just really simple stuff, and they basically they're not trying to complicate it or do anything. Uh, just keep it straight to the point, and um, and um, and that's what I like about boxing is how they how these techniques are simple and stuff and efficient, um, but they can do so much damage, and they're pretty hard. Uh, they're pretty hard to counter. Like if you don't know
Hmm.
what you're doing, you don't if your techniques are not that good, then you're gonna have a hard time countering them. Like, and I've seen loads of loads of videos of martial artists getting knocked out or getting knocked down from boxers, from sparring
Yep.
boxers. And it's crazy. And um, so, but another style that I thought was effective for me at least is I think it was yeah, Krav Maga. I like
Yes.
I like some Krav Maga techniques. Like I like some Krav Maga strategies and stuff like that.
Hmm.
I like I think well, I mean, of course there I think most Krav Maga is hogwash, but some but no some Krav Maga is actually legit. Like I think what I liked about Krav Maga was the disarms because
Oh yeah.
um, some disarms though, not all of them, but um, like I've seen some disarms of like two-handed disarms of shotguns, two-handed disarms of pistols, I think, and stuff like that, and
Hmm.
I thought they were actually wow, like actually thought this stuff was pretty good, and the only problem was I didn't agree uh with them like landing all these hits, these
Hmm.
these repeated strikes to the face because it's too risky. Like it's like I said, if your punches don't knock out or if they don't knock out your attacker, then all you're gonna do is hurt them, but you're not really gonna take them out. Like you're not gonna they're they can take punches, but you're not gonna be able to take bullets. You know?
Yeah.
So you have to think about that, and the more the more you do these laps and stuff, like you're pretty much you're pretty much wasting time because all the guy has to do is pull back um, and shoot you, like and then
Mhm.
and once you get shot multiple times, like over for you. So
Yep.
that's why I like boxing strikes because not many people can take those hits. Or
Mhm.
they take a lot out of you, even if they don't knock you out. They still do a lot of damage to you, and yeah. But I also like the Krav Maga. Some of the strategies. Like I looked at some of the active shooter um active shooter training, and it's really good. Like um they would teach students how to they would teach students how to act active shooters. Like they would say
Mhm.
they would say, okay, you need a team. Like you need some people, you need some students using improvised weapons. They would teach you how to close the distance on a shooter,
Mhm.
how to ambush the shooter, how to use cover, concealment, um, have have several guys, have one guy do a disarm and the um, other people attacking, um, other have someone else do a takedown. It was just really well executed plans to take out active
Yeah.
shooters, and um, I think that's what makes Krav Maga stand out. Um, but I think that most of it though is hogwash because I think they what happened was they seem to have complicated it. So it's it's really not as effective as it was originally intended to be. Like like I've
Mhm.
like I've seen this one demo, and like I said, I've seen this one demo of Krav Maga practitioners kneeing people in the groin and stuff like that repeatedly from a clinch
Yep.
position, and and I tried it before, like in a demo, like I said, and I ended up getting jumped. like it, it was a
Oh, damn.
yeah, like my I told my friend, I said, look, I said I'm gonna try to do this to you. Just resist my movement. We're not gonna script anything. Just resist. Um, and what he did was he pushed my head, pushed my chest, pushed me back with his forearm, and I nearly lost my balance. And
Oh, damn.
yeah, right before I was gonna kick him, I was gonna knee him in the groin. I lost my balance, and and then the other guy, he landed a hard shot to my ribs, and before I knew it, I was getting jumped. Like they were just clobbering me, like with elbow strikes and punches and stuff like that. I mean, of course they didn't act.
Damn.
Yeah, of course they didn't actually do it for real though, but it was. it was a semi contact, but still, like it's you know, with people on the street know how to counter clinches. Like even if like you might not okay, just because they're not trained in in anything, it doesn't mean uh it doesn't mean that they don't know what they're doing. Like cause a lot of them do. Like they know how to
Hmm.
like they could do a bear hug and then transition into a body slam. And I've seen it happen a bunch of
Yep.
times where if somebody's punching you too many times, um, what they would do is they would they would get in close and do a bear hug thing to stop you from punching them, and
Yep.
and then they would body slam you, and once you're on the ground, they would just start clobbering your head in with their fists and stuff and kicks and stuff, and to where then you would be the one getting beat
Hmm.
up and not them. So that's the
Yep.
problem. That's the problem with these Krav Maga clinches. That's why I don't like clinches um because of that reason. Like somebody somebody could on the street somebody could have a knife in their pockets and just easily take it out um and stab you or slice you with it and since you're in the clinch you can't see it um and uh and by the time you do see it, it's too late, and they're already
Hmm.
since you're in a clinch, it's easy for them to grab you, to bear hug you, or to put you in a headlock or whatever, because you've pretty much given yourself to them, you know. Um,
Yep.
so Krav Maga, like I think that's pretty much almost the only thing I like about it. Same with the principles, like similar to Wing Chun, you know, as far as simplicity, efficiency, um, goes and all that stuff, and like it's good stuff. Um, the
Hmm.
training is also pretty intense. Um, but I like some of the strategy, you know. But other than that, though, that's pretty much all I like about it. What do you think about Krav Maga?
Yeah. And I mean, Israeli martial art. I mean, it's a good thing because not only is Krav Maga like effective martial art, but at the same time, it's used in a lot of military martial arts. You know, because military they use Krav Maga as a disarm. You see that in Israel, you know, because it's a Hungarian slash Israel martial art, and you know, like in The Simpsons and not Jason Bourne. Jason Bourne uses Krav Maga. Was it video? You know, they use Krav Maga. Was it example of a person who uses Krav Maga is was his name Fisher from uh what's that game? What's that game? Shoot. That's like a single player tactical soldier game. He's a master of Krav Maga, and the way they utilize Krav Maga as you know disarming, and after disarming, you can attack your you know basically if disarming your opponent with pressure points uh, and with joint locks and all that stuff. You know, but the difference is that you know Sistema is more of an. I feel like Sistema is more. Uh, was it? It's more. I can't think of it. You know, even though Sistema and Krav Maga, they do utilize guns, knives, weapons, military weapons, and military assets.
We talked about Krav Maga. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
Um, yeah, Krav Maga is, for what I've seen in Krav Maga, it's, you know, an Israeli, a Hungary Israeli thing. You know, it's a very useful and effective martial arts because a lot of the military, Israeli military, they use it. Not just Israelis, but a lot of um, soldiers they incorporate Krav Maga, and I see as Krav Maga as if I have to compare it to another martial art, it's it's basically in par with Sistema because Sistema you can see that Sistema is like based on military as well. But you know there's you know different flaws and martial arts and all that stuff, and with Krav Maga has flaws as well, and they um, it depends on the user too. It's not just the martial art. It depends on the person. So yeah, and just seeing that Krav Maga uses a lot of soldiers tactical you know, because you're working with guns, you're working with knives, and so it works with knives, guns, and all that stuff. And I see the Sistema is the same thing too. So yeah.
Yeah, I like how in Krav Maga you can use pretty much any weapon that you want, like any weapon that's at
Mm-hmm.
your disposal, you can use it. And of course, you know, there's some things I don't like, which is what I mentioned earlier. Um, you know, people on the street, you know, they can, like I said, they can take hits. They can take they can take like 12 punches to the face if those punches aren't powerful enough to knock them out. Like
Mm-hmm.
you know, like very few people can take boxing hits, for example, to the head. Like pretty much every amateur that's been hit by a boxing punch, actual punch, not just a jab, like has been knocked over or knocked out or something, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And um yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I ran out of ideas, like so. Um, I'm
Yeah,
now on to
same
the
here.
next. Now I want to talk about the other styles that I think are are effective. Like I want to talk about um Shaolin Kung Fu. What do you think about Shaolin Kung Fu?
I mean, Shaolin Kung Fu has a lot of dynamics to it because you know it's Shaolin Kung Fu, or I feel like Kung Fu in general is I think one of the longest martial artists out in the world, and basically you know when you think of Shaolins or when you think of monks, you think of Buddhist priests, you know, and you don't think that they're gonna use violence and all that stuff, but when you think of it now, it's like oh, you know, like Buddhist monks they you know they have advantages because Buddhist monks they like Shaolin monks they train their bodies to the absolute limit, you know, and they will do whatever it means to like necessary to take down you know a lot of you know thieves and a lot of thugs that are going around trying to steal from you know their monastery, and that's why history of Shaolins, you know, the reason why Shaolins are peaceful people is because they don't want to, you know, they don't want to mess around. You know, they're the Shaolin monks. They just want peace. They just want to have their own time to themselves. They don't want to, no, they don't want to be bothered with. You know, they just want to stay in peace. They just want to be accepted in this world. But you know, since ancient China, since Shaolin had a lot of wealth, then it was really hard for a lot of people to, you know, to like, you know, give them peace because a lot of people wanted to steal what wealth they have. And marsh and Chinese or Shaolin Kung Fu is like one of the best, like, or I say one of the best because I see a lot of people using it, and its dynamics are really like strong hits and quick on their feet and very like fancy movements, but at the same time they're able to pull it off and they're able to was it make their body go to the absolute limit, so they're able to do flips, kicks, high kicks, all that stuff in order to attack um whoever they're trying to attack. So
Yeah, I think the thing that really stands out is the iron body conditioning that they have, where it's like where they harden, basically they harden their bones and muscles to where they become like iron. And at first I was skeptical of it. Like I thought, oh, they're just damaging their limbs, they're damaging their nerves and all that stuff. But the more I did some research, like the more I researched it, the more I found out, wow, this stuff is actually legit. Like I found out pretty much everything that I thought about nerves and bones was actually not true. Like I used to think that nerves and bones were static and fixed, like they couldn't change whatsoever. Um, but that's not really true because if you break your bone, bones break because of greater impact. Uh, like if if you fall to the ground, you break your arm. It's really because of the greater force of, say, gravity and stuff like that. Or, like it's not because um it's not just because you hit the ground or whatever you made impact.
hmm
It's more complicated than that. And uh and bones, they can heal over time. Uh so if that's why doctors, they try to stabilize the bone so it can heal. um and with Shaolin Kung Fu, like, you know they try they realized years ago that bones and nerves and stuff, they change. Like they adapt to the pressure, like, to the yeah, they adapt to the pressure, like the weight. So so you can, like, they start gradually. They strike their bones gradually, and what it does is it creates micro fractures. And those
hmm
and then those and over time their bones calcify, and that's how they become hardened over time. And same with nerves too. Like, your nerves don't actually get desensitized like people think that they do. And they actually, like, um basically, like, the your pain threshold goes, uh the basically, your nerves adjust to the pressure too. Like, um your the amount of pain that it takes for you, the amount of pain, your pain tolerance basically goes up. And uh and the more you practice striking,
hmm
your nerves, once they get used to getting hit um repeatedly, um then you're basically, your brain uh trains yourself to adjust to the pain. And so it requires, like, more pain for for somebody to do damage to you. um So the more like as a Wing Chun guy, like I thought of all the ways that I could be an Iron Body practitioner, and there's like no way. Like I realized, wow, there's really no way I could do it because no matter where you hit, like they're not gonna feel anything. Like I don't know if you've seen this, but in some and there's some videos of uh of Shaolin monks like they hit each other in the balls repeatedly. Like like I saw one video of a Shaolin monk like
Damn.
yeah they were hitting and it was in China like they were taking bricks and just slamming it into their nuts and repeatedly and nothing was happening like and one guy like one guy he 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 got hit he had like a team of guys uh try to hit him in the balls with a battering ram.
Hmm.
Yeah, they would raise the battering ram up and then slam it into his balls, everybody at the same time, and nothing would happen. He would just bounce. He would bounce back a little bit, but nothing would happen to his balls. Like
Hmm.
that's insane. Like,
Yeah, dude.
and there's other demos of guys getting hit in the like they had iron body practitioners. They said they would have these demos where they'd be like um they would try to test out their iron body conditioning skills. So they would dare people to hit them, and people tried, and pretty much they ended up hurting their hands or their legs or something, and nothing happened to the iron body practitioner. Like they just bounced back a little bit. Like
Yep.
like they tried the iron body practitioners. They said you try hitting me in the throat, and when they hit him in the throat, like really nothing happened. And same with the neck, same with the head, same with the nuts, same with any place. Like really, like no matter how hard they hit him, like nothing happened. Like they didn't even show any pain whatsoever. And
Hmm.
but if you were to get hit by an iron body practitioner, you would have been done for. Like you would have
Heck
probably
yeah, dude.
you would you would have broken a bone or something. Like you would have
Yup.
got you would have gotten messed up. That's all I had to say about that.
Yeah, dude.
Even if they could block one of your punches or whatever and damage it just straight up like just with one block they could damage
Hmm.
your whole arm or something. Like I think uh
Yup.
I've seen this other video of this I think it was a Silat practitioner in Indonesia. Like they tried punching her in the head and she didn't get knocked out. Like her head just bounced back a little bit, but that was it. And then they broke I think it was a coconut over her head and yeah and nothing happened. Like just the coconut broke in two and she didn't get knocked out.
Damn.
Yeah.
Like, I'm being serious. Like, if I was getting hit in the head by a coconut, I'd probably be dead by now, you know? Like,
Yeah.
cause yeah, cause coconuts they're like the hardest thing to hit, and use a coconut to hit someone in the head.
Yeah, that's
That's not
crazy.
easy feat, man. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, and even heck, even I think when you're trying to cut down coconuts, they have to give you a warning to not stand
Hmm.
under the trees. Like you got to stand far away from them because
Yeah.
because if you get hit in the head with a coconut, you could die from it. You get a serious concussion
Yeah.
or break your neck or something. back from it.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, that's what happened. So like, and I don't think that can be faked either. Like really, like you
No.
can't fake that. Like especially if it's like if it's in a poor area like Indonesia, you know, like in the place where she was at, like there's no way you can fake that.
Yo.
So like people can doubt the iron body conditioning, but like the proof is all there. Like it's, the training is legit. Like there's no way you can fake that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why bare knuckle boxers. That's why they condition their knuckles um before they get into the ring because they know that in order to punch bare knuckle, they have to condition the knuckles first. Um, but other than that, I think uh, I don't think that I think there's some Shaolin techniques that can work. Like I saw Tiger Claw. It was on Fight Science. They had they had a monk demonstrate the Tiger Claw. And what he did was he uh he uh he did a tiger style kind of strike on the
Mm-hmm.
dummy, and it ripped the dummy's I think it ripped his jugular out or its throat out. Like
Yeah.
yeah, it tore it up. Like he could physically like with his conditioned hands and stuff and the techniques and stuff like he could physically
Mm-hmm.
like tear somebody's uh Adam's apple out and kill
Yo.
him right on the spot, like.
Mm-hmm.
And that's crazy.
Yeah, and in animal style, like, you have like, you have the dragon, you have the tiger, the snake, the crane, and people may think, oh, that's just that's just like something to make it look cool, but at the same time, you have to understand that, like, you know, it's 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 based on the practitioner, because the practitioner, he may use a lousy style, but at the same time, you might not know, he might like use that style against you. So, people have to be careful of what they like underestimate, because you can go against a person who is known to use an animal style, and you find out that he's good in the animal style, because tiger style is based, you know Shaolins, they created these styles, mimicking animals. Even though dragon is not a real animal, it's a mythical animal, they're still able to combine. I watched this video, like they combine all the other animals, like they have the three claws. It has the claws of a tiger, only uses the three fingers. It's very fast and agile, like the leopard. It has the poise and the pose like a crane, like it needs to be balanced, and it's very like it's very lengthy, like the snake, you know, and so the dragon, the dragon is one of the most like overpowered styles, and with the tiger and everything and all that, it's unstoppable. So I feel like it's effectiveness, ripping someone in the jugular, that's gonna really like,
Just kill you right on the spot.
it's like a dangerous move. It's a lethal move to you. Yeah, it kills you right on the spot. And when you hear the guy say it, like, he won't be able to use it in a real fight, you know that, okay, if, someone gives him that, because yes, it's limited to opportunity, but you have to understand that, um, maybe that person doesn't have the opportunity to use that move. Like, yes, if someone opens up an opportunity for him, oh yes, he is gonna use the opportunity to like rip someone's throat if he needs to end that person. You know, there's no reason why to not use that move. So
Yeah, um, that's pretty much what I think that's what I liked about Shaolin Kung Fu, and
hmm
that's actually like what inspired me to use that part of the training in my self-defense program. Of course, I don't make everybody do it because it's not for everybody.
hmm
But if you want to go extreme with it, you got to do it. Like, or because if you know, it's like once you can condition your body to absorb damage, um, and give more punishing blows, then you've practically like rendered yourself like almost invincible to the majority of attacks, like melee attacks. I mean, and
hmm
because nobody could really hurt you. Like it would take somebody with a ton of strength to do damage. And I've seen like guys like Shaolin monks, they drill like uh they tried driving spears into each other, and the spears didn't
yup,
go. Yeah, they didn't go through. And same with drill. Like somebody somebody tried drilling. A Shaolin monk tried drilling a hole into his head, and the drill didn't even go through. Like it didn't even. It made I think it made like a little
hmm
scratch, but that was it. That's some
yup,
hardcore stuff right there. And
and and there and there are you see in movies there was this one guy like in this one Shaolin movie he was able to um he used this technique like the Iron Body. He used the technique, and it was it's all movies, but then you see how accurate it was where they take swords and they try to like chop him up, and then like he trained his body to the absolute limit to like so that no one can hurt him, and that really impressed me. And I was like, oh, you're able to use the Iron Body because no one's able to use that kind of power against anyone. And just seeing someone use it, I was like, oh dang, like that's brutal, because you imagine that person has like that person's oh my gosh, that guy has balls to like you know put himself out there and learn the Iron Body because you don't see that often from a person. You don't see that um, too casually, and that is one thing that really stands out the most when I think of Shaolin martial art. It's that they take themselves to the absolute limit without any precaution and all that stuff, and that's really scary. But at the same time, it's a good way for them to train their body to the absolute limit to really show that what in battle we are strong and we're together as one. So you can't, if you're gonna destroy one of us, you're gonna have to take down me and a couple of my friends, and it's not gonna be easy. So yeah.
yeah, it's crazy what the things that they'll do to actually achieve that level of endurance and stuff and conditioning. Um, you know, and and and
hmm
but I mean, in my training system, like you have to condition your knuckles. No, like that is if you want to punch, you got to do it because if you try punching bare knuckle on the street, you're gonna break your hands. You know,
Yep.
and so so you have to condition your hands, otherwise they're gonna break. So and it's painful conditioning your hands for punching. Like the first time I
hmm
did it, my hands were like hurting for like days or something, like probably like 2 days or maybe 3 days. And then I got
Yep.
used to it. But hey, I mean
Hmm.
that's the price you have to pay for punching bare knuckle. And if
Yeah.
if you don't want to punch, if it hurts, like if it really hurts punching bare knuckle and training and all that stuff, then you might as well just stick to open hand techniques because you're gonna break like you're gonna hurt your hands anyways punching bare knuckle on the street like what like what
Yo.
one of my friends like he's not a martial artist but he got in a fight and he kept swinging on a guy um and he told me later that even though he won like he felt like his hands are hurting like his hand
Oh
got
yeah.
yeah his hand got messed up and so he had to go to the doctor and everything. He was complaining about his hand and
Hmm.
whatnot, and so I mean, yeah, like you don't see that. Of course, you don't see that in fights and stuff like YouTube
Hmm.
videos because they're only showing you the heat of the moment. Like they're not showing you
Yo.
like what happens afterward or not showing you the aftermath. Same with UFC and stuff like that. Like um they're only, you don't see that much violence in there because they're wearing gloves. Like if they,
Hmm.
I mean, watch a bare knuckle boxing match. You'll see how bloody it'll get there
Yeah.
because bare knuckles can really cut you up and stuff. Like
Hmm.
in ways that don't happen with gloves and stuff. Like
Yup.
you know, um. But that's all I got to say about Shaolin Kung Fu. You got anything else you want to add?
And Shaolin Kung Fu, like yeah, when you mentioned like the ways of breaking bone and really yeah, like I agree with that because when you break your bone, it's like Muay Thai. It's like Muay Thai practitioners. They break their bones in their legs so hard that when they build fiber and everything, it's all like it's not a pain for them anymore. They're able to use that strength that they trained in, like kicking bamboo trees or kicking some sort of wood or hard material to really harden their legs. And that's a good training because, yes, it is going to destroy your body, but at the same time, they're sacrificing um, their, uh, their body in order to, fight their way through this battle, this long, intensive training. And look at how it pays off. They can kick a tree, no problem. They can break metal without any precautions around that stuff, and you can see that their level of you know of pain tolerance is really low. Like they don't feel pain at all. Like right after kicking, like yes, it's not easy because you're gonna be kicking a lot of stuff, and if you haven't built that high tolerance of kicking, it's going to be super hard to really get that momentum in and to get that pain tolerance to, uh, shoot from the sky because it's not an easy feat. But yeah, that's all I got to say.
Which brings me to the next point about Muay Thai. I also like Muay Thai as well. Um, now at first I started off um my techniques they started off as like I would throw elbows, but um they would look more like Wing Chun elbows, you know,
Mhm.
and I would throw I would throw kicks and stuff like, but again they look more like Savate kicks and Wing Chun kicks and stuff like that.
Yep.
But then like I started replacing well like the moment I replaced the footwork and stuff, my Wing Chun footwork and the Bai Jong footwork, like
Mhm.
now my elbows look uh more like Muay Thai elbow strikes and
Yeah.
or and same with the knees. And as far as the as far as the leg, the roundhouse kick, that's what I was looking for. I also like used one of those techniques after I realized that based on what Bruce Lee said, he said he mentioned how with the hook punch, um, you can reach someone if somebody's sidestepping to the left, like you could easily like cover like you could easily punch them um a lot faster if with a hook punch that way to the head um than if you tried straight punching because according to him like and according to geometry I just learned this like not the straight line is not always the it's not always the most direct way to reach your target. And
Hmm.
this is something that Wing Chun practitioners don't get. Like they think oh well you've seen a lot of them teach how uh the shortest distance between two lines is a straight line or something like that. They talk
Hmm.
about that and they talk about the center line and stuff like that, but it's like that's not actually true. Like, and
Yep.
I was really shocked when I heard that. And yeah, like people in geometry, they said sometimes the shortest line, the shortest distance between 2 points is a curved line.
Hmm.
So that's when I realized, huh, like um, I could actually reach some areas of the body, like the ribs, um, from a distance
Hmm.
using Muay Thai kicks. Like of course I made them I changed them up a bit. Like um like like I made them less telegraphic, and rather than start with the rear foot like a lot of Muay Thai people do, like I started with the lead foot and I put more of my body into it. Um, and that's how I delivered the roundhouse kick. But I like how Muay Thai guys, I like how they use um, all their limbs. Like they use the elbows, the fists, the legs, the knees, the shins, the feet, and stuff like that. And I like I think I like some of the clinch work in a way. Um, but mostly I think the biggest thing that I like is the Muay Thai pads because unlike the boxing pads, the Muay Thai pads can absorb. They're used for kicking
Yep.
and for punching, and with the boxing pads, you just can't do that stuff because of how thin they are. They're made of
Yep.
different material. It's not as dense. It's not as
It's not hard.
yeah. That's what I'm looking for. So, um, buying Muay Thai pads saves money because um for that reason. So, although I think I like Lethway better though because Lethway uses headbutts and uses the head for striking. So um,
Hmm.
if you use headbutts, then that pretty much renders clinching useless because if you try to clinch somebody, you're gonna run right into a headbutt.
Yep.
And I've actually I saw an analysis done on it, and they said yeah, like um, it's really hard, almost impossible to clinch someone who uses headbutts because you're gonna like in the clinch you could walk straight into it. And even if you
and
go ahead,
and I was like, and even not know it, you know.
right, and even at close range, like even if you do manage to get someone in clinch, um, they could still
Hmm.
headbutt you. And there's more limbs that you have to worry about. Like they could knee you, they could punch you. They could do so many things to you. Um,
Yup.
so so yeah, doing that like I like less way better, but um, Muay Thai is pretty good as far as those things are concerned.
Yup. Yeah, and the thing I like about Muay Thai is that Muay Thai it emphasizes on what Bruce Lee is saying too, is to express the human body because Muay Thai is a big thing in MMA, the UFC, using elbows and knees. And when you see MMA fighters using elbows, you see that they're training their absolute body, you know, to the core, like Shaolin monks, like what we were talking about. But at the same time, you know that they're powering up their legs, their shins, you know, whatever they need to power up in order to, you know, get that strength that they need to defeat their opponent because they're not just going to defeat them with just hands and legs. No, they're going to use their heads. They're going to use their elbows. They're going to use their knees. Whatever it means necessary to get their opponent down. They're going to use whatever advantage they have left. You know, even if it means sacrificing their elbow to get the other person, they will do it. You know, no matter what. If their opponent is to just take that person down. After taking that person down, they're in it for the win. So that's how you know Muay Thai is taken that way too, where not to take it to win, but to like go to the absolute limit, and that's why you see like Tony Jaa, you know, his Muay Thai is when I see his Muay Thai is a mix of capoeira and Muay Thai because the way he uses you know the way he does his kicks, he does his his knees and his jump kicks and all that stuff, or the way he does flips and all that stuff, it looks like capoeira. You know, even though he doesn't do the capoeira stance where you dance, he still incorporates capoeira into his fighting style. You know, the way he fights, it's like break dancing. It's like hip hop. You know, if he's able to go all out without using his elbows or knees, he's able to move around, do flips, do kicks, be on his arms or hands, and like do all this stuff. It's like that, you know. And with that Muay Thai aspect, Tony Jaa is not fighting to be fast, to be quick. No, he's able to add strength to it, you know, and to really like because when you see him in his movies, he's not using his hands. He's using his elbows. Most of the time, he doesn't even need to use his hands. His hands are just there to like be the last resort. Like if Muay Thai is not gonna work, if the elbows are not gonna work, my hands are gonna do the thing, you know, and they're gonna take you out. But my elbows are working, like if they are really effective, I'm just gonna use that to my advantage. You know, so that when someone else is attacking me, I can use my elbows to attack that person. You know, so yeah,
Right. And another system that I think is effective is like I like I think I would like wrestling and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Like I think
yes,
I like some techniques um
hmm
because of course I modified some techniques like uh like I modified the takedown, like the double leg takedown, like rather than rather than start from a distance where your opponent can see you coming, like I would do it from up close, and
yup,
because that way it's harder to see coming. Um, and also like I wouldn't go down with my opponent because on the street, like you just don't, you never go to the ground, uh,
Yep.
as a general rule. So uh, like the way wrestling and takedowns and BJJ takedowns, like, so the way some of them are, like, some of them, um they look pretty good. Like, they look, because they control the neck, they control the some of the arms, I think some of the limbs, um
Mhm.
and like, and I think some submissions can are actually useful, even if I wouldn't use them as my primary means of ending a violent situation, um
Mhm.
but but some of those submissions could work, like on animals. Um,
Yep.
like if you put somebody in a rear naked chokehold, um, you could pretty much cut the you pretty much cut the blood supply off, and they go to sleep in like a matter of seconds, and
Yep.
that's that's how uh, that's how good it is. Um,
Mhm.
and the thing about it is, like, it's pretty difficult to counter if um if you don't have weapons, or multiple attackers or whatever. Um, it's kind of difficult to counter.
Mhm.
Um,
Yep.
but but depends on the situation. Like, sometimes some people would know how to counter it. And really those are the people you need to watch out for. But yeah, I like some of those grappling
Mhm.
techniques. Uh, but if I were a strong guy, like I could lift people up, I would use some wrestling techniques. But I'm not really a strong guy, so I have to settle for other techniques, like
Yeah. No. No.
go ahead.
It's good. And it's good because, you know, even though if we don't have the body to really take down an opponent, we can use our speed or whatever we have to the advantage because strength is not everything. The body's not everything. It's more about it's more about other things too, like speed, your agility, your way of attacking. It's not just about strength and everything, because strength is not it's not about everything. So, if you're not getting strength, don't worry about strength. You need to worry about, other things too. So yeah, bro.
And but wrestling takedowns, I think those are effective because really effective because, like, you're pretty much lifting the entire person off the ground, and you're slamming them to the ground. Like, I've seen a bunch of wrestlers, they picked up Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners, and they would just, like, slam them on the ground, and once they slammed them on the ground, like, the the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners, they got laid out. Like, they got they
Yeah.
got the wind knocked out of them, and they were done for. And
Hmm.
and then there's other instances where wrestlers, they would take them down, and then they would pretty much apply their whole body weight on them. Uh, so
Yep.
so you've pretty much got somebody applying their whole body weight on you, and they weigh like
Hmm.
over 300 pounds, like, they're big guys, and there's really no way that you're gonna be able to get out of that if you're the average sized person. Like,
Yep.
I don't know if you saw a video of there was a fight between catch catch wrestler and a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, and um,
Yup.
that catch wrestler was huge. He was massive. Like I was actually shocked at his
Mhm.
size. Like dude was like he was like a giant, and the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner was just a he was just like an average sized guy, and the catch wrestler like he just dominated him. Like he put him in like a bunch of different submissions. Like each time, each time the the BJJ guy tried to he tried to put him in like one submission, like he was trying to get out of one submission, the wrestler would just easily transition to another one and
Mhm.
quick and like and and he would I think he would pin his knees and limbs and stuff. He would like pin his inner legs with his knees or elbows to so he couldn't move his so the guy couldn't move his leg or whatever.
Mhm.
Um and if you have
Yup.
somebody pinning your arm, the nerves in your arm, that actually hurts because you got like major nerves running through there. So
Yeah.
so it kind of like it
It's not. It's not gonna. It's not gonna be a good feeling, dude. That's
yeah.
gonna hurt.
Yeah, and finally basically what ended up happening was the wrestler like I think he put him in like a kind of like a guillotine choke or a side headlock on the ground. I think
Mhm.
I don't know the
Yup.
technical terms of the technique, but all I know was he he put his whole body weight on the guy's chest. And,
Ooh.
yeah, and he was like it looked like he was just crushing his lungs like or something like, and then but basically what happened was the
Dang.
BJJ
Just hear.
what
Just just hearing all this and hearing that people are getting crushed. It's really scary because of you hear that a lot of fights too. When their opponent is on the ground, they try to crush them and like beat them as much as possible, and that's just too much, bro.
yeah yeah and then so because of the guy's immense weight the BJJ guy got tired and he said and he actually tapped out because he couldn't breathe properly
Mhm.
because the guy was on
Damn.
his literally the guy was on his chest like laying on his chest like applying
Yup.
all that weight on his chest so could like BJJ guy he just it looked like he passed out and that's why he
Mhm.
lost and that's why I like wrestling I mean especially catch as can wrestling I catch wrestling for short I like that because just the conditioning that those guys have is like it's mind blowing. Like if you go to like if you look at old school catch wrestlers, those guys are massive. They're huge. Like
Yeah.
they they could like I heard stories of how like um they would put guys in submission so fast like hammer locks. They would put him so fast in those submissions that they accidentally broke the guy's arms or legs or something like that.
Ooh.
Because of all that shit.
Damn.
Because of because it
Damn.
had yeah because it happened so fast and so violently and they're so big and strong that that's what happened. Like
Dang. That's sad.
yeah yeah and the fights they would the actual matches they would get bloody too like
Yeah.
uh just by grappling and stuff like or
Mhm.
striking and stuff like their opponents would end up in a pool of blood. Like they would just get end up covered in blood and stuff, and and stuff like that. So it was crazy. Uh, like if you've seen Okay, you know what a Boston crab looks like, right?
Kind of, not a lot, but kind of.
Okay, I gotta show it to you later. Basically, like
Mm.
it basically, I think, um, I don't know how to explain it that well, but basically, the catch wrestler turns the guy on his back. Well, he actually lays him on his stomach, gets on top of him, um, lifts both his legs up and tucks basically tucks each leg under.
Oh, yep, yep.
Yeah,
I,
yeah, you know
I
what
know
it
what you're.
is.
Yep, I seen it. It's a basic wrestling move that when you watch WWE or Impact Wrestling, you see some wrestlers they use that move against their opponent to tap out. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it's actually like it actually does hurt, like it because
Mhm.
what they're basically doing is they're basically how do I say this? Like they're basically compressing your back, your spinal cord, and
Yeah,
it's like they're go ahead.
and it's like it's impressing your leg too. Like it's not just the leg, but like they're putting pressure on your foot, and that can hurt your foot and your back. So yeah.
Yeah, they're putting pressure on your legs and your back and stuff, and there's and I don't really see any way that you can counter that because you've got a big guy who's strong. He's strong as a wild animal. Like you've got him uh holding onto your legs with each arm, like just like he's got a grip on them. So I don't see how you're gonna use leverage to get out of that. Like you would have to use strength to get out of that,
Yeah.
you know, because
Mhm.
he's controlling your entire back. So I don't see how you're gonna get out of that. Like you know,
Yup.
catch wrestling moves are actually a lot tougher to get out of than
Mhm.
say judo or Brazilian jiu-jitsu just because of the
Yup.
design themselves. But but me but overall I'm really just a fan of I don't like submissions because on the street because I feel like they just waste too much time, you know, like I would rather just
Mhm.
knock the guy out than try to put him in a submission um because because of the fact that this guy, you know, I don't know if this guy's on drugs, you know, I don't know if he's got a weapon, I don't know if he's got a friend, you know, if he has a friend, then I'm gonna have to let go of the submission if I wanna deal with his friend, you know. So
Yup.
and since he's and but once I let go of the submission, now I got to face two guys, you know. So I'm
Mhm.
just submissions. I think they're just too risky on the streets. So it's a lot safer if you just knock the guy out, or at least knock him down. Like I've seen one wrestler. He he got attacked by multiple attackers, and he would basically take them down. Like he would lift them up rather than body slam them one by one. Um, even though okay, it wasn't perfect, but still, like I think uh, that's one way that you can apply wrestling or grappling to a street scenario. Um, with of course with some modifications, but that's that's all I got to say about that. You got anything else you wanted to add?
And plus, like, you know how wrestling it's basically, wrestlers they like they can hold immense amount of pain because they're used to that, and they're like You can attack me as hard as you can, but your moves aren't gonna do anything to me, and I'm gonna take you down. Like it's scary to fight someone who's like that, who's big, because that person can just take you down, sit on you, and uh, you know, if you are a martial artist who can get out, then yes, because I understand that wrestlers they use their whole body as the weapon to destroy and take down their enemies. But at the same time, there's a big disadvantage too because someone who can really attack you from anywhere, any sides possible, someone who can literally take you out in a blink of an eye can really like use his or her moves like kicks, punches and kicks and really knock you out if they really wanted to. And that's a disadvantage for the wrestler because even though they can't feel pain, it doesn't mean that they aren't hard to knock out because you can hit them so hard in the head, you can hit them, because everyone has a weak spot. And if you're able to hit that one person through that weak spot, they're gonna go down pretty hard and they're gonna go down like really easy. And you know, if a smart opponent, sees that wrestler's coming, he can do the Brazilian jiu-jitsu too. Like what my brother does when we wrestle is he tries to jump on me, and that's an advantage and a disadvantage. The advantage is that the wrestler like he won't know what's coming, um, you know, and he won't have that time and thinking of I need to do this, I need to do that, you know. But but like the downside is that quick thinking, and he knows you're gonna jump on his back. He's gonna find a way to throw that. He's gonna find a way to like let you get on his back. And he's gonna take you from behind and like toss you or like flip you over and then knock you out. But it's flaws, and we'll see that with wrestling, it's more on having a smart opponent that's really smart and that knows how to take someone down efficiently. And if there is a person who can do that, then the wrestler is not gonna have any chance but to like have those moves hit him. It's not easy getting hit, but at the same time, if that wrestler is able to sacrifice his body, then go for it. I'm not saying to take those hits, but if you are able to do it, then do it because no one's there to stop you. If you want to get your opponent, go for it, and it's not, and it's really your choice to go for the attack. And if you're gonna go for the attack, do it. Don't just stand there and get attacked. Go for it and really uh, have that momentum of okay, I'm gonna take down my opponent. So.
Right. Um, another thing that I wanted to talk about is medieval sword fighting.
hmm
What are your thoughts on medieval sword fighting?
Medieval sword fighting, you can do a lot of things, because medieval sword fighting is it's the same. I see it as the same as samurai sword fighting because samurai sword fighting, you see that it's how do I say it? You see that it has a lot uh of momentum to the sword, and you can see that sword fighting, you're not just using your body, but you're using your swords to kill your opponent. And that's one thing that scares people a lot is that um, sword fighting in general is really the most dangerous martial or not, or it could be martial art because it's part of the of what's going on right now, and just seeing that that. mm, that in that general, in that sense, that it's really just how they use two hands to attack, or they can use one hand if person is the person is like strong enough. They can use one hand, they can double sword, whatever. And so I feel like medieval knight sword fighting is it's not effective, but at the same time, it's not useless. So yeah.
Right. And I did medieval sword fighting. Um, I trained in it for a while, and I actually like it. Like, the techniques, they're simple, they're
Hmm.
efficient. Um, it's not what I thought it was before, Um, and unlike HEMA or stuff like that, like it's not like sword fighting that I learned. It's not like that. Like um, I don't know exactly what branch it is, but it's more practical than the flashy stuff that HEMA puts out
Hmm.
and other styles put out. Um, because all we did was spar. We didn't do these demos. We didn't talk about sword fighting. We just sparred and
Yep.
and you know and uh whatever happened. Um so that's you know I think in sword fighting, I think what I liked about it was how kind of how strategic it was, like how how difficult it was
Yep.
actually. It You would be surprised at how difficult it is to actually hit somebody with a sword. Like, it's not as easy as people think it is. Like,
Hmm.
there's so many things you can do. Like, you can strike with you can strike, counter strike, parry, block, evade. Um, you can also bind attacks, which is like something that Bruce Lee did, or that he taught in his books and stuff like that. It actually came from sword fighting, really, where
Yep.
where the sword fighter would actually jam the opponent's hand, or jam not jam the hand, but jam the sword, um, and then make their attack. Like, it happened several times to me and other people, which is a pretty good tactic. It's similar. It's kind of similar to the Wing Chun concept of trapping the limbs as you attack.
Hmm.
Um, but I was impressed how Bruce Lee applied the binding concept to hand-to-hand combat, um,
Hmm.
stuff like that. So that's why I use it. That's why I use medieval sword fighting in my training. You got anything else you wanted to add to that?
Just a little more of adding, like, yeah, sword training. I've never learned sword training. I've learned, because my weaponry that I use most a lot now, since I won't call myself a Bruce Lee fan, I'm not gonna brag about it. But I use the nunchucks, which in a real case, nunchucks. When I watched the documentary, it's people say it's a um, someone's. It's how do I say it? When I watched the I Am Bruce Lee documentary, you see this guy. He's like, nunchucks was always a mother's broom being sacrificed, and then it became a household product, and then it was someone's groin being sacrificed. Because nunchucks, it takes time to really learn how to use nunchucks. I'm not saying I'm an expert at it, because even while using it, I still hit myself. Like, more frequently than I'm able to hit opponent. But as the year goes on, I've been able to really I've been able to really hone my skills and really find a way to, you know, work myself out with the nunchucks because with nunchucks, um, it's different from sword fighting. I'm sorry for getting so sidetracked, but um, it's really it's just uh, a way of just really using how to use a weapon. But sword fighting. When I see sword fighting, it's a good concept because swords. It's not a long or short weapon. It's in the middle, so you can use it as a short notice too, and that's a thing that I see. So yeah.
Yeah. I also like I like some concepts from Filipino martial arts. Like in Filipino martial arts, they would teach you how to they would say it's wise to strike the limb, the attacking limb first. It's called defanging the snake, where you would attack the limb first, before landing the fatal blow. Um, and I think that's a good strategy to have because even Japanese swordsmen, they agree, at least the later ones, they said, yeah,
Hmm.
they said that's actually safer because um if you try to go for the killing blow right away, um it's too risky. Like it could result
Yep.
in a double kill, um or your opponent could see it coming and he could intercept you before you even try to hit him.
Yep.
Uh, so it's safer to just cut your opponent's hand off or arm off, um, to disarm him than try to like go for the killing blow right away
Hmm.
and stuff like that. So um, that's what I liked about it. And
Yeah.
anything else? Anything else you got to say about it?
Nope. I'm done for that.
Okay. So I think I would say the last topic that I wanted to discuss was what was the rape culture, how which is basically um we're basically just gonna target uh just the culture surrounding rape, the beliefs, the um just the various attitudes that people have about it. Because I feel like this stuff needs to get discussed. Um, because it has a lot to do with self defense. Like I see,
Hmm.
like it's. I mean, of course, it's a sensitive topic. Um, but I feel like it does need to be discussed because people have some misconceptions about it, and like especially the self defense community, like I've seen a whole bunch of guys, teaching this kind of like rape prevention thing where they talk about how they do these scenarios where where they would how do I say it? Like they would have this typical stranger in the bushes kind of scenario where they would have a guy come out and attack the person, the woman or whatever, Um, and then she would do these techniques and stuff like that, and uh and supposedly defend against the rapists, and if you look at police reports and stuff like that actually rarely happens,
Yup.
like most of the time, like rapists are actually people that you know, like people that you
Mhm.
actually trusted, like boyfriends, husbands, friends, stuff like that. Like it's not, it's
Yup.
not, it's not an actual, it's not a, it's most of the time it's not a stranger.
Mhm.
I think, I don't know the exact numbers, but yeah, like police say, yeah, like pretty much, in most cases, rapists, they knew their victims, and, which makes it a lot harder to defend against rapists because they already, they don't come at you like they try to gain your trust. Like they don't come at you as this guy looking for trouble, trying to intimidate you
Mhm.
and stuff like that. Like they actually try to come at you like a normal human being. They try to gain your
Yup.
trust and everything, and they try to like basically lower your guard and stuff like that. And that's
Mhm.
that's actually more dangerous because the last thing that somebody's going to think about is they're not going to want to think about their own partner like raping them or whatever, or their own family member raping
Yeah.
them.
Mhm.
And so that's why I think it's really a flaw to try to like to always think about in terms of techniques because techniques like it's not really gonna save you in the end, um, because like you got to think about the strategies that people use, like guys on the street, like
Mhm.
they might not have the techniques, but they have the strategies, like they know how to exploit your weaknesses and not
Yup.
just physical weaknesses, but mental weaknesses as well. So you know, so like
Mhm.
uh like I posted a case of these guys who they were uh they were friends with this BJJ girl, and they were hanging at a bar and stuff, and drinking and stuff like that, and they got her drunk, um and then they took her they they acted like they were gonna take her home, um but they actually took her to like this unknown place, and it was like a parking lot, and they took her out, and she was too drunk to fight back, and then so they just beat her to a bloody pulp, and then raped her like one by one, like it was like a gang rape, and
Damn.
yeah, yeah, and these were her classmates, by the way, like these were people that she trained with, like and I was shocked when I heard about that. I was like, dang, like I'm like, wow, like these, I don't even know what to say about that. Like how,
Mhm.
I don't like, dang, like how could you turn on your own classmate like that? Come
Mhm.
on, insane. And yeah, so they pretty much beat her to a bloody pulp, and then they left her there. Like they just drove off, and
Damn.
yeah. So what do you think about that?
It's it's sad, it's sad to hear that from a community that you're with, you they like they'll have people like that you're very close with to betray you, and it's sad to just hear that because the last thing you will want is people that would never do that to you, like actually doing it in the flesh, and that really scares a lot of people because like they don't want to hurt that person, but at the same time you're in a situation where, oh, if I don't do something, they're gonna do something, and basically like you know personally, I've never been in a situation like that, thank goodness. But it's because it's not just going for girls, but I've heard that guys have been they've been taken advantage of by other men, and it's really scary to really talk about this because in this world there are sick people, and you don't know what their intentions are. They maybe they're there to do this, maybe they're there to do that, and you can't really you can't really uh like do something. If you're that person um who's in that situation, you can't do really anything but like attack that person. And um and it's just sad to hear that people like this exist, and they are they have that audacity to do that to someone else, because maybe they're bored, or they do all this, they do all that, and that's just sad to hear, and to hear that that person has to go through that. And you may not know, maybe that person is like that person is like gone, or that person is like we don't know what's going on. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think the scary thing though is how they how like rapists they get in your head, like you're not gonna be able to do your techniques if they all already gave you this perception that they're loving,
Mhm.
they gave you this false idea that they're loving, they're caring, and that they are, they play all these mind games on you. Um,
Mhm.
the last thing that you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want is is defend yourself, is to actually hit the person because they've already got in your head and they're already manipulating you, doing whatever they want to. So before you know it, you, um, you're probably gonna get raped and stuff like that, and like that girl,
Yep.
like she trusted those guys, um, probably didn't had no idea what they were gonna do, and they got her really drunk, so there was really no way that she was gonna use her techniques to defend herself
Mhm.
because of the alcohol. So, so that's why it's really hard to these rape preventions. That's why it's really hard to actually prevent rape because of those reasons. It's not it's there's really no quick fix solution. I think you would have to, like I said in the other podcast we did, you would have to you would have to see the signs first in order to do that. In order to like you'd have to see realize the potential threat that you're dealing with, and a lot
Mhm.
of people like it's very difficult to do because when you're blinded by love, like you tend to ignore the signs, you tend to ignore what people are telling you because
Mhm.
it's like you're on love drug, and
Yep.
you tend to believe that this person loves you even though he or she really doesn't. So
Mhm.
Yeah, and not many people know that actually actually getting somebody drunk or on drugs like that actually counts as rape too, because you know
Hmm.
you're basically incapacitating someone on a physical and mental level, so
Yup.
they really have no control over what they're doing, so they can't really consent fully to um, any sort of encounter with you. So,
Yup.
you got anything else?
And
You got anything else you wanted to add to?
it just, yeah. Um, and it sucks because you hear people like this, and you see that all the stuff that's going through that person's mind, the person who is doing the bad deed, you hear that most of the stuff that's going on is really just, um, you know, it's you don't know what's going on in their mind. You don't know what their intentions are up to. Maybe it's to give back at someone, or maybe it's just to really show them what's going on. And that sucks because it's sad to hear that someone in this world who lives in that world does that, and it's really sad to really hear that someone out there is really suffering the pain that another person is right now that's suffering, and it's so bad, you know. It's not a good thing, and you know we don't want anyone to have that feeling of, oh, you know, they're getting raped by this person that they're close with, because it's so like, because if they are being raped by that one person who they know, then they're not able to trust that person ever again. And you know, that person that they've been with for a long time, you know, they can never have that reliability on them again. Like, you won't see it ever, and it's really sad to think about it, because being with someone who you thought was like a good person, you really find out that they're nothing but a scumbag. It's really, you know, it's really a bad thing. And honestly, it just sucks to see uh, that going on through life. So that's all I have, man.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that in later podcasts. But right now,
Hmm.
that's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to cover for this episode. You got anything else you wanted to add?
Nope, I am done.
All right, same here. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe to my channel, comment, share. I'll see you later.